Hi, in this video we'll take a high-level look at IBM TRIRIGA space management and space planning. Spaces in TRIRIGA are organized in a hierarchical fashion. So by that I mean that we have building records, which are parent records to floor records, and those floor records are parents to spaces. So if we go ahead and open a building record, we can see the building's name and description, its location in the hierarchy, a picture of it, some details such as its tenure, it's leased, not owned or managed, environmental details, energy rating, cost summary, units of measure, and the address, phone numbers, things of that nature. We can see contacts that are associated with this building. These contacts are people that fill different roles within the building, like move planner and building condition manager, reservation coordinator, etc. If we move over to area measurements, we can see the building area measurements, and we can see that these are actually roll-ups of its child records, which are floor records. So like the rentable area is 136,628.93, and that figure, it rolls up and gets populated into this field, the rentable area field, for this building record. There are also tabs for assessment, facility condition assessment, for maintenance, where you can determine move policies for the building, as well as space management, notes and documents, many different things. If we stick to this tab, we can open a floor record right from here. We can see in this floor record that, again, we have the name and the description, its hierarchy path. If we scroll down, floor measurements, you can see that there's a CAD drawing of the floor plan, and this is interactive, and we can interact with this in the graphic tab or the enhanced graphic tab. And here we can see that the floor plan is color coded, in this case by space class. That's something that can be customized. Out of box, there's different reports that we can color code by, but you can do this with any report that you wish. So we can say occupancy status, and now it's color coding by occupancy status. If we go to enhanced graphics, we can further manipulate this floor plan by, say, with the space classes. Now we can specify which space classes we want to see. So if we only want to see free address workstations, we can just view those. What's further, we can filter, say, by occupancy status, where we can only see the vacant spaces. See, offices, only vacant offices and free address workstations. If we move over to Dynamic Space Planning tab, this is where we can create a scenario for this floor. A scenario is where you're basically a proposed solution for how to manage space. So we can create a scenario for this floor where we're basically proposing how to manage this floor and the spaces on this floor. So if we expand here, again, we're looking at space classes, but now it's showing us the color coding, and it also gives us the this feature where if the color is dark, it's available, and if it's lighter, it's unavailable. And we can change it from space class to, say, occupancy org, and now we're seeing spaces color-coded based on the organizations that are allocated to those spaces. Now, most spaces on this floor don't have occupancy allocations, but a few do. And like we can see, like this one is allocated to human resources. This one's allocated to accounting. We can view the people who were assigned to spaces on this floor plan. We can move people. We can select spaces for editing. We can change the org details, which means we can change the allocations. And we can change space details, which means we can change the capacity and space class of spaces. Now, again, we're not changing the actual portfolio. We're just dynamically updating a scenario record, which is proposing that we change the portfolio. If we do come up with a layout that eventually gets considered and approved, a space planner could go ahead and create move projects to actually take action and basically put this plan into action. We can toggle spaces, which means that we can toggle them to be unavailable or available. And we can set up a distance factor, which basically means that we can set up a distance, in this case 72 inches, which is 6 feet, by which occupancy must be separated. So we're basically saying to the system that we want to make it so that spaces can only be available if they're no less than 6 feet away from other available spaces. And that's why the light and dark suddenly became more checkered in appearance. The allocation tab allows us to create chargeback allocations at the floor level. So we can create an overlay, which is a portion of the floor by square footage, and then allocate portions of that to different departments. And the area measurements are the floor area measurements, and these are roll-ups from the spaces, which are all child records of this floor record. If we open a space record, we can see that it has a name and description and a hierarchy path, just like the other records we looked at. Space measurements, its space class. If we go to graphic, we can see the CAD drawing, but with the space that we're currently viewing the record for shaded in. If we go to details, we can see the assignments of the space. So this person is assigned to the space as their primary location. These assets are also assigned to the space. If we move over to allocation, we can see that we can view the occupancy allocation. So the accounting department is allocated 50% of the space, basically means that members of the accounting department are occupying 50% of this total space. And chargeback allocations specify financial responsibility. So each of these organizations is financially responsible for 33 1/3% of the space. So with regard to space planning, we have another tool. It's the UX stacking app. And the UX stacking app gives us the ability to dynamically, using a drag and drop interface, create stack plans. Stack plans allow us to plan for the future demand for space against our total supply. So if we go to stack plans, I have some currently created. So I'll just open one of those. And you can see that this shows it's the Charlotte Watson Center building, and it has the first, second, third, and fourth floors. And these bars represent the current allocations of spaces. Each color is a different organization. So if I hover over one, you can see the bar expand. That's the red bar right there. If I click on it, I can see that the spaces we're talking about that are allocated to the accounting department total 925 square feet. It's 4.68% of the floor, 36 workstations, and 1 printer fax area. I can zoom in a little bit to make it a little easier to see. Some of these allocations are so small that if you don't zoom in, you can't see them. But here you can make changes. You can add demand bars for different organizations that might need allocations at a later date. This is a planning tool. You can move these around, so you can say in the future this organization would be on this floor, and then you can see how that looks. This shows you the picture. It's a picture of how space is allocated on these floors. And one more feature. If we click, not notes, if we click on View Summary, we can see a tabular format of all the allocations that we're showing visually in the actual stacking plan. If we click here, we can see changes that we've made, or we can see everything, and we can export this. So this has been a very, very high level view of space management in IBM TRIRIGA. There are many more capabilities regarding space management and space planning in IBM TRIRIGA. Thank you for watching.